Onyx ran that entire side of the map alone, but we've seen Dobson bounce back and have really great performances. Rival certainly need that. Very surprised that Rival allow Astral Authority that first pick position once more. And AA just going back to the exact same bans. Soul, Sun Wukong.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're really worried about Watson playing the Soul, and they don't really care if Wolves first picks the Sun Wukong because they have other intentions. Rival's still going to their same bans, and Transonics is like, wait, what? They're just going to ban the same exact thing and give us Susanoo yet again? Sure, we'll take it.
Trans will take it because Chaotic Purpose can absolutely win a game by himself with that Susanoo, one of his signature gods, no doubt about that. What adjustments does Rival make in this position? Last game, they went Osiris, Robin. Do you expect the same here?
I don't expect both of them. Osiris was a good pick for Gnome, though, because he made that early rotation, he found that early kill, but the Ganesh was a problem. El Brochacho with those Dharmic Pillars created a lot of space for his team's favor to be able to just slow everyone down.
So now Astral Authority has plenty of different routes they can go. Odin banned away from Wolves once more. Could see him on the Robin instead because that is a strong warrior even in the solo lane, though most of the time these days seen in the jungle, but it's going to be Kronos and Ymir. Now, keep in mind though about this Ymir, which is a flex pick between Wolves and Brochacho, both of the gods that Rival have drafted can get through that Ymir wall. Osiris with the passive can walk through player-made walls, and Ganesh's third ability, that dash, can break through those objects.
Ymir's here. I expected eventually in this series for one of these players between Wolves or Brochacho to lock this god in. I actually expected them to lock it in game number 2 against Obey Alliance when there was that Habois at a Delta Marine, but either way, bringing this out has already a lot of control in these team fights. You got the time stop from Transonics more than likely on the Kronos, and then that important wall is, despite the Ganesh and the Osiris, like you were talking about going through it, it's still gonna be impactful because now Ganesh can't use that dash offensively and expect to get out.
Rom, the selection for Dobson, and that's been his go-to character for quite some time, but not the best of matchups into Ymir.
No, not at all. That dash is just going to get instantly denied by the Ymir wall. The ultimate is going to have to be used to buy him some time to wait for that wall to drop back down to the ground. Kepri banned away, really expecting this Ymir to go to Wolves.
I like that ban from Rival, respecting that Brochacho can pull out that Kepri, and we've seen it pretty often with the Kronos. Giving Kronos 3 lives between his initial health bar and then the Kepri ultimate and then rewind is pretty difficult to deal with.
I think the thing that Rival are thinking about here is forcing Brochacho to play the Ymir, because Dharmic Pillars with a dash into Ymir is just going to shut him down every single time. I think, what was it, Ionic that was playing Ymir earlier on in the PC side of things? He got shut down just every opportunity. That's the one problem with the Ymir early on. Before you get those defensive items, you're just going to be a sitting duck.
Morrigan, the ban from Astral Authority. Rival now deciding on their second god to take away here at the second half of the banning phase. Could be a Brochacho again, could be a Kovi in that mid lane. I mean, there's plenty of CC already, so something like a Chang'e would certainly fit, but it is going to be back at Brochacho with that Geb.
It's one defensive support band after another, the Kepri into the Geb, and it makes sense here because that's going to be a lot of control if that Astral Authority got either of those two gods that were banned on top of the Ymir, between the freeze, the wall, then you're looking at the knock-up Cataclysm from Geb or the pull and the root from Kepri.
Little surprised it's a Robin ban and not a Nemesis ban. I think that's one of Rapio's stronger gods, but Rapio did have a pretty good showing on the Robin in game 1, so it's going to be Vulcan for Rival, Scylla for AA, and Naja in the jungle. So, or what? Susanoo solo? Or Naja solo?
Naja support.
Naja support.
Naja support for Brochacho. Ymir is more than likely going to go in that soul lane for Wolves. Brochacho is going to be very aggressive. We're going to probably see some early level 1 invades out of Astral Authority.
One final pick here for Rival, and bet you they're scratching their heads right now, not really sure what AA's throwing at him. It's going to be the Thor for Rapio. Always a solid pick, but there's plenty of CC to interrupt that Thor out of the Berserker's barrage.
Yeah, I'm really worried here if I'm Rapio playing this Thor. Now, you do have great setup for your team, specifically onto the Vulcan, to be able to set up that huge ultimate. But I gotta be worried about all this control. You got a Ymir freeze, you have the time stop out of Kronos, Naja can stun and put you up in the air. And don't forget about that Scylla damage that's just waiting for you once you start landing.
Covey played this Scylla up against Obey Alliance in the semifinals on Thursday and had a pretty solid performance, I would say. A couple missed opportunities in securing objectives with I'm a Monster, but at the end of the day, also made some big resets with that ultimate.
It's going to be interesting to see where exactly this Naja and Ymir go, whether that's going to be solo or support. I'm expecting Ymir to stick onto Wolves here, this matchup against the Osiris. As long as you get to level 6, level 7, you're going to full clear the wave anyway. But beforehand, Guardians have a pretty difficult time against an Osiris.
I got to know where this Naja's going. I need to get into the game as soon as possible here because I need to know if that's Brochacho on the Naja support. The reason we're so excited about that potential is it is Brochacho on the Naja support. All right. Let me give you a little history lesson, folks. Brochacho's been around playing Smite for a long, long time. Season 1 SPL player on Thirst. This is a guy who always likes these different styles of supports, and Naja was one of the first that he really latched onto. Being on a team with the guy, I can tell you, he feels like this kit really does synergize well with his style, which is aggressive initiation and then peel by damage on the backline.
It makes sense because your second ability, as long as you get those passive stacks off of either the melee in-hand hits or off of the ring bounces, and you pop that second ability, you're going to get a burst of heal back in your favor. And even if you don't have these offensive items as Naja, your whole primary goal is to get somebody out of a teamfight with your ultimate. So as long as you're resilient enough to survive the initial burst out of Rival, that's all Brochacho needs. This is why we're seeing the Naja, why we're probably going to see Astral Authority be aggressive.
Big push up in that dual lane. Rival is sitting right on that tower line as Brochacho comes to the mid lane and tries to assist Covey with that clear. There's like a decent amount of poke from the archers, but that Naja clear, this is what I'm talking about. Pressure is the name of the game in Smite and has been for a long, long time. As the speed buff does get secured by Astral Authority, Gnome went for the cheeky steal with it too. Pressure's been the name of the game for a long, long time, and having that extra little bit of push in your draft is so important.
Oh, nice opportunity here for Jacob HL, stopping Transonics in his tracks. He got those back harpies by himself there. Took a lot of poke in return here, but doesn't seem the Astral Authority are farming enough because we saw on the right-hand side how Gnome neglected his wave just to be able to try to stop the speed buff. Here already, Team Rival, they're not farming on the left-hand side, and Astral Authority make this rotation.
Jacob HL with a beads there that doesn't really do much. Transonics in trouble though. There's the first blood. Dobson gonna claim it for Rival. Love the adjustment that Rival made, not letting Transonics go for the same start that he did in game 1.
I think that was a little bit of a taunt there from Rapio after that early first blood. Not hitting level 2 on the Chronos is so important to take advantage of because now you're not going to have that time stomp. Unfortunately for Brochacho, that purple buff not going his way, even taking more damage for his trouble. And we were talking about trying to find ways to shut down Astral Authority, and it seems that Rival have found an answer, or at least against Transonics.
I mean, the mid and left side of the map are very late game focused here, Tolly. I mean, you've got Scylla in the mid lane and then Chronos in the dual lane. Neither of those characters really come online until later on in the game. So Rival, where their focus is on the right side in game 1, I like this adjustment to identify where the weaknesses in this Astral Authority draft are early on.
However, though, if you're going to focus out Transonics too much on the left-hand side, you're leaving Wolves more free farm opportunities. Already hitting level 4 right before Gnome does. A little bit of aggression here in the dual lane, forcing out the beats out of Dobson. Ring bounces, chunking quite a bit, but it's Brochacho against 4.
Love the wall from Rapio. That sets up Watson for the kill. Big plays out of Rival's jungler. The dual lane for Astral Authority taking an early 0-2 start.
This is so important for Rival to keep the momentum going. They found a kill onto Transonics. That's the first part of the dual lane equation. And then answering with the second part onto the support. Brochacho now getting shut down a little bit. Getting this neutral camp of the Oracle Harpies, extending Rival's advantage here to a slight 700 to 800 gold lead.
That, at this stage of the game, is a pretty solid beginning, but the problem is that the neutral objective on the right-hand side of the map has gone to AA twice in a row now, and that's where the lead has not really started to materialize.
No.
It's frozen in this solo lane. Wolves is level 5, and that's gonna be a kill in the solo. Wolves blows up Gnome with the shards of ice.
Just being able to out-farm his opposition despite not much of a rotation from Rapio to share the wave against or with the Osiris in his solo lane. It's going to be Wolves hitting level 5 first. That CC immunity preventing the tether stun. Nice use of the Sash stun, avoiding the Vulcan ultimate, but not avoiding that double tap.
Brochacho's Naja support not working out thus far. An early 0-2. Great communication there in the mid lane between Rapio and Watson.
And that's the one problem that Naja has. Once you use that Sash, you've committed to a team fight, but he had to use it offensively to avoid that Vulcan ultimate from Watson, but there was still a couple more abilities from Rapio to secure another kill.
This is something that Astral Authority struggles with at times, is overconfidence. This is a very confident group across the board, and sometimes these pocket picks that you feel very confident in after dominating game 1 can kind of get you in a bit of a trap for game 2.
I mean, what was it, 24 or 25 minutes that Team Rival surrendered in the first game? You have a little bit of a leeway if you're Astral Authority here with this best of 5 set. And I don't mind this necessarily if I'm Astral, because there's still plenty of time left in this game. It's only 4.5 minutes in, and despite some slight level disparities, they have an advantage in that solo lane. Wolves got that kill, and Ymir that gets ahead early on. Now you're looking at some rotation, and these freezes and ice carpets are going to start chunking out Rival.
Honestly, the problem isn't necessarily Brochacho right now that you're worried about if you're rooting for Astral Authority. I think it's Kobe. He's down 2 levels right now to Watson, in large part due to the fact that Rapio's been there to pressure and help the mid camps go Rival's way, whereas Brochacho's been getting punished in Chaotic Purpose is spending the majority of his time on the right side of the map.
All he needs is the one ultimate coming out of Brochacho on this Naja, and despite being slightly under-leveled, as long as he's not, like, let's say level 10 versus level 12, he still has enough time to catch up to that 2-level disparity. Hitting level 6 now while still sitting at level 7 is Watson, almost finishing off those boots, and once those penetration boots come online, we're going to see a lot of a damage spike coming out of Kobe.
Chaotic Purpose sitting a little bit down from Rapio in the XP department, though pretty close in gold despite the 1-0-2 scoreline for Rivals Jungler. Much better start in this one for the EU challengers.
Trying to go for these Oracle Harpies, goes into the sky as Rapio just for some vision, spots out a couple members here, lands onto Brochacho, but the pull and the ultimate.
Chach gets out of it with the ultimate of his own, and then isometric's waiting, but it was too early from Kobe. Crushed completely off the mark as well, and the punish is there. Snipes on the mark from Dobson, and Rival find 2.
Great response there. Brochacho sets up Kobe, but he cannot deliver this time around. The Scylla pick just not working out for Astral Authority quite yet. Still struggling with the levels, and that was a great play from Rival. They knew Astral Authority were going to try to contest those Oracle Harpies.
The preemptive ult from Rapio, thinking a step ahead in the head of Astral Authority so far. Watson on the mark yet again. This Vulcan has looked clean in the mid lane for Rival, really anything but for Astral Authority's mid laner. That's a guaranteed I'm a monster 7 days a week, and that could have turned the entire team fight in AA's favor.
And I'm surprised that Astral Authority even took that fight to begin with, because they don't have that power spike that Kobe needs on the Scylla. Still sitting at this tier 2 boots, doesn't have the extra mobility to catch up to anybody around his teammates or having the penetration.
Wolves with the freeze on a Jacob HL's Gnome, looking for a double pull there by Chaotic Purpose, and a good route from Covey. Walls off 2 by Wolves. Rapio and Watson are here, and Watson is level 9, tied for highest in the game with Wolves and Dobson.
Vulcan is a lot of a threat here at level 9. The backfire is going to do quite a lot of damage, but he doesn't have too much mana here. Jacob HL is going to throw out the Dharmic Pillars, but nobody else to follow up because Watson is just not having much mana.
Good play there by Jacob, but as you mentioned, no real follow-up as Dobson rolls in, and the mid lane is met by that stun. Transonic gets walled off, and a quick purification beads gets him out of danger, but another good rotation by Rapio, who's looking very comfortable on this sword.
The mid lane, a nice little rotation. You know, we saw what Transonics is able to do with the other rotation here in the first game when we saw him make a huge play on the Kurnos, getting that 2-for-1, but this time around, not able to make the same impact because he was getting shut down earlier on in this game. He's still just worried about farming more than fighting.
I love what Rapio does, prevents the back from Transonics to make it so this Gold Fury window is even larger for Rival. Vulcan ultimate comes down, and Rival walks away with the first Gold Fury of the game, now up over 2,000 gold.
A great start for the European squad that are struggling currently in this set. Down 1 game, need to find a way to get back into this one, and this is the best way to do it. Shutting down the dual lane here is so important. Brochacho sitting at level 7. Transonics just now at level 9 here. It's a decent potential here coming out of the team fights, but as long as Covey can hit those ultimates, we can't see another engagement like the last one.
That's true. That's gotta connect. And keep an eye on the interaction between the Naja and the Ganesh, the two supports, because of course it's Naja support. That silence coming off of the artillery sash should prevent the guaranteed ultimate if someone's purification beads are down. That could be a big boon for Jacob HL, who uses up beads of his own, and Brochacho gets bursted before the Windfire Wheels even goes off. The 4th death already for the support assassin.
Transonics is gonna stop the Oracle Vision from happening, but at what cost? His own life. Not worth it that time around.
Overconfidence for Astral Authority. That's the story for me here, Tolly.
I mean, what was he thinking? Like, was he expecting to, like, all right, I'll just casually steal these Harpies and then just walk away?
They'll let me get away. I'm Transonics. They're not going to be able to chase me down, but Rapio's ultimate and the good control out of Rival. Purification beads were still on cooldown for Transonics, was waiting to use that rewind, had it available, but never got a chance because of the excellent CC chain. Rival full committing to this tier 1 tower in left, and see the rotation coming from Chaotic Purpose and Kobe.
Going to be a nice opportunity here. Ganesh, though, is going to avoid the initial pull. Kobe trying to find something happening. Going to miss on the root. Crush connects onto Dobson, but he's left alone. Forced to go into Alma Monster just for the mobility. Can't connect on the Alma Monster, leaving himself exposed for Dobson snipes.
That's what I'm saying. Why is he pulling the trigger on that one, rooting himself in place and guaranteeing the shots out of Dobson? Great accuracy so far out of Rival's Hunter. I mentioned it during picks and bans. The comfort pick of the ROM doing wonders for Rival in this one.
3-0-3, 6 kills participated in out of the 8 total from Rival, just all over the place, whether he's fully committed on the rotation or just making that half rotation using his ultimate. Dobson has been making the impact for Team Rival. Chaotic Purpose trying to make the impact onto Watson. Typhoon, not enough damage.
Not quite enough, very close. Chaotic Purpose, if he even had a mace, had started some penetration, that could have been enough, as Rapio can't quite close the distance with the ultimate. I like what I see there from Astral Authority, though. Just a little bit more pressure onto Watson. He's been allowed to free cast all game long and has become a big problem very quickly.
And I just thought about this now, but the interaction here of Volk and the whole idea, I think, of this Naja support is also trying to ring bounce off of the turret, making it more difficult to keep that 6th man alive.
That's true. I mean, could be this is a nice little boon for Astral Authority if they can find it, but Brochacho's got to stay alive in order for that to happen. His portal demon falls to about 50%. Astral Authority, the ones on this objective. Shard Device, get down, and that's going to confirm it, but Gnome wants the kills. Kobe gets rooted in place, freezed by Wolves, but he's getting chased down by 3 different members. The level 13 Ymir walls off 2, and Astral Authority escape with an objective under their belt.
And the shell from Brochacho is going to keep his soul laner alive for the moment. Opson taking a lot of poke here from Transonic, sitting at level 11. What looks to be building into a Warlock Sash. This is pretty late into the game already. It's going to take a long time to finish that one, but finishing the life of Covey as Watson pairs up with Jacob HL.
I don't know if Covey came through that portal or was just in the wrong spot, but no matter how he got there, that was not the spot where Covey should have been on the map. Dobson, 1 auto, 1 buff.
So unfortunate of a timing for Transonics. KP gonna get stunned out from Rapio, but having to respect 3 members from Astral Authority, gonna back out for the moment. There's that interaction we were talking about, the turret trying to zone away Astral Authority. Well, Brochacho doesn't care. He's just gonna throw that ring bounce, poking out Rival ever so slightly.
So despite the bad start for Brochacho, he's 0-4. Yeah, the scoreline doesn't look good, but he's top of the team in player damage. He's done his job in terms of poke. And look at the net worth for Covey. He's 1,000 gold down from everyone else in the game.
It's just not being able to farm the way he wanted to. After that early death, we saw so much of a level gap against his opposition on Watson. He was about a level and a half behind, but now he's down 3 levels. There's been so much success for the mid laner out of Rival. He hasn't had a single death here, and all the space control that both Gnome and Rapio are providing for their mid laner is just giving this Vulcan the freedom he needs to cast from a distance.
Transonics is the best hope right now for Astral Authority alongside Wolves. Wolves actually with a pretty substantial lead in that solo lane over Gnome, 2 levels, about 700 gold as well. I think Astral Authority really needs that Ymir to start rotating into these team fights.
I think they're going to wait for that Wind Blade to complete before he does so. Having the Thorns as well, knowing that he's going to be that sitting duck, during the ice shards. It's not a bad idea to try to go for that one, but yet again, Brochacho getting focused, 1v3, silenced out, can't connect on the ultimate.
Watson did use the Aegis, Chaotic Purpose follows up that sash, guarantees the death. I'm a Monster connected there for Covey, but just not enough damage in order to find the kill.
And that's the problem. If the Covey was higher level, more items, that's a guaranteed kill onto the level 13 Thor jungle.
But he isn't, so he didn't. Covey still sitting at 0 and 2. The CC chains have been on point from Rival so far.
That was a level 1 ultimate that we saw. Once Covey was hovered over, we saw his abilities. He's trying to max out his first ability, because whenever you max out an ability as Scylla, you're getting 20 extra magical power, and that's the whole mindset that Covey's expecting. He'd rather get that guaranteed 20 magical power than the potential hit on I'm a Monster.
Transonics looking to steal, but the silence prevents any opportunity, and the Vulcan ultimate confirms it. Rapio up into the sky as Chaotic Purpose wants to continue this chase. Rapio waiting, doesn't find any target, and he's going to escape. As Covey retreats as well. Rival secured the second Gold Fury of the game.
And no response from Astral Authority. They're just zoning away Rival. They did force the Purification Beads out of Jacob HL, but as a Guardian that's sitting at level 12, Height of the Earth should now finish with 1 stack. I'm not really too worried about Ganesha's hopes here. However, in the solo lane, Wolves has been quietly split pushing here. He's sitting at level 15. He's going to be able to finish off that Wing Blade once he backs and secures his team that tier 1 solo tower.
Dobson wants to chase down that Chronos, but a little bit too much movement speed for the Time Lord. And Brochacho sitting in this mid lane, Chaotic Purpose joining up with him. Covey on the way alongside Wolves, and Wolves not even heading back to that solo side. Looks more keen on joining his team now, realizing that they could really use that assistance.
The problem here is that Brochacho is just getting focused so easily, but it's a little more difficult now to focus a level 15 Ymir as opposed to level 11 Najah. Breastplate of Valor and Wingblade completed for Wolves, and with this mark of the Vanguard, he'll be more resilient than Brochacho will, so just allow Wolves to be the frontliner and maybe just have Brochacho follow up after the fact.
Transonics was the one running the dual lane in Game 1. Game 2, Dobson having a much better showing here. He's up 2 levels over Transonics, about 1,000 gold. Obviously, those 2 Gold Furies, a big help in that regard, but Dobson also has had a very strong showing so far on this round.
The snipes have just been on point, making these semi-rotations, using the semi-global pressure out of his kit here, already having his second ability maxed out. It's the power spike play coming out of Aram that you really dream about here. He's trying to finish off the Odysseus bow, really getting more attack speed.
These silences from Jacob HL have been a thorn in Astral Authority's side all game long. They've had a lot of trouble dealing with that. Not only Brochacho, Transonics got silenced out a couple times. Covey as well would not be able to jump to his Sentinel because it's a 2-fire ability. Ganesh into gods that need to press their ability button multiple times is where he finds the most success. Susano comes to mind. Scylla comes to mind. Those are 2 characters that can really have trouble up against this god.
I mean, we were talking about what Rival needed to do to adjust from games 1 and 2, and that's exactly what they did. Instead of locking in that Robin in the first 2 picks, they switched that up for the Ganesh, recognizing that Brochacho was just too big of a factor. Shutting that away from him, as well as securing it for themselves, gives them so much space every time they drop those Dharmic Pillars.
But again, I mean, you look at the gold lead that Jacob HL has, and you think it would be a lot bigger. I mean, it's really not that substantial. Less than 1,000, I believe, between the 2 supports. Portal Demon started this time by Rival as Wolves is here. This is the side of the map that Astral wants to fight on. Freeze on a Gnome, not a lot of poke onto that solo laner. Down to about half HP, and Covey is already gone. Where did he go? Rapio didn't even need the ultimate. Brochacho finds one with the ult. Wolves waiting for him on the backside, but Rapio was waiting as well. Snipes coming in from Dobson. Needs to find all 3, and he's locked in place, but instead was looking at someone else.
Brochacho's going to take a spill as well. Transonics finally finding a response for his team, taking out Gnome after all that damage was dealt. At the end of the day, though, was a 3-for-1 in favor of Rival. Portal Demon's still available to get objectively, so adding another 750 gold to the European squad's pocket.
Covey died with both relics available. Chaotic Purpose forced out both relics available. Rapio almost takes a spill. Transonics with that rewind doesn't get him a lot of HP back, but the positioning is key there, takes him out of danger.
Very resilient here is the Hunter out of Astral Authority with 54 stacks of that Warlock Sash. Almost complete there, trying to get as much health as possible, making it more difficult to lock him down. He was struggling at the beginning of this game, but now he's getting towards that later stages, finishing off that Bancroft's talent for the extra lifesteal to follow suit. I'm expecting either a Wing Blade or a Fatalis after, trying to get extra mobility.
Totally, I'll be honest with you, 13-2, Rivals dominated every team fight. They've gotten 2 gold Furies, they're about to get a tier 1 tower in mid, but they're only up 4,500 gold. That's good, that's a lot, but with the late game potential that Astral Draft has, gotta be careful there as Chaotic Purpose finds the pull. Wolves walls off Watson, no beats for him. Wolves gets the kill, and now Astral Authority has an opening.
They're not done yet. I thought Wolves was gonna continue the chase, trying to find another wall there. Transonics is gonna continue forcing the issue there around that solo lane, but switching their attention towards that red buff. It's now Astral Authority with a 5-on-4 power play.
Wolves walls off members in the mid lane and gets himself a ward because of it. This is the perfect time for Astral Authority to find that pick, because Gold Fury is available, but they don't seem too keen on going for that
They don't
quite
have
yet.
to go for
There's
it.
the double wall. Dobson forced right up into the ult. Jacob HL uses the beads. Kovi's ultimate hits no one. Transonics in trouble. Great Aegis from him. Lord of the Afterlife gonna miss, but he never gets off the rewind. Rapio gets that kill. Jacob HL falling low in the jungle. Brochacho gonna claim his first kill of the game, and it's still a double freeze from Wolves. Dobson falling low. His roll's not gonna get him out of danger. KP finds his first of the game as Kovi meets up with Rapio in mid.
Rapio doing a lot of damage, gonna force out that Aegis Amulet. Gnome still trying to chase out one member on the left-hand side. Watson respawning, but he didn't get into that team fight quickly enough, and that's gonna still allow more kills here for Astral Authority. Despite having a 5-on-4, they lose 1, but still respond with 2 in kind.
At the end of the day, it's a 1 for 3 if you count that early kill onto Watson in the mid lane. Rival starting to slip away a little bit with his lead. As I was about to say, going into that last engagement, Rival's up a massive amount of kills. They've gotten far more objectives. They've got a tower, as does Astral Authority, but look at how low the dual lane tower is. 2 gold Furies for Rival. That gold lead is, as you can see, you can fight into that.
Absolutely. It was all about the positioning out of Watson. We saw Chaotic Purpose finding a nice little pull, which actually forced out the later purification needs coming out of Watson that he probably would have liked to, and that allowed Wolves to chase down the Vulcan, drop the wall, find a very easy guaranteed freeze, and the rest of the damage was just guaranteed.
Watson relying on the 2 damage items he already has and going for a defensive cloak. Could be Spirit's Robe, could be Magnai's Blessing, either one would be solid here as Chaotic Purpose has to use the beads of his own. Trying to return some damage onto Jacob HL. There's a Sash and the ultimate. Kovi waiting, as is Typhoon. Kovi gets bursted by that Earthshaker, but still not enough to find him, as Brapio's gonna find him though. Anvil of Dawn confirms the crush damage onto Kovi.
Connects onto 2 members. A time stop not on the mark, down that corridor, knocking up Brochacho. Wolves is gonna be tethered, stunned, actually diving into Transonics instead here, slowing him down. The ultimate not coming through. A second dead member out of Astral Authority.
On the backside, Wolves handling Watson alongside Chaotic Purpose. KP's gonna find that one onto Watson, but now Wolves is left alone with Brochacho in the jungle. Those two taking the 2v3. The level 17 Ymir, not enough. Astral Authority solo laner falls to the hand of Gnome. Now Chaotic Purpose shows up with the double wind siphon, and he looks likely to escape, trying to get away from Gnome.
The speed buff is just too much to handle for Team Rival. A nice response. Wolves sacrificing his life for the kill onto Dobson. It was a 2 for 3, I believe, at the end of the day here. Astral Authority still needs to find ways to get some of these objectives to not allow Rival any sort of snowball potential.
But that in-game clock, Tully, is just tick, tick, ticking along. Eventually, Kronos is going to become a nightmare. Eventually, Scylla's going to be very difficult to handle. And this front line for Astral Authority shows signs of being strong enough in order to protect these players later on.
And now we're going to see Kovi hitting level 14 to get that third point onto his ultimate. It's going to be very impactful in these last team fights. Some of these Alma monsters that do connect are just not enough damage. That's simply because he elected to max out his first and second ability, trying to get that extra magic power in his passive. But now, like you were mentioning before, as the game progresses, these levels are going to increase from Astral Authority. And not only that, the respawn timers of everyone is just going to be that much longer.
Rapio's finished off a Magi's Blessing, trying to make sure that he has enough freedom to spin without using the purification beads in front of Wolves or Brochacho. Also, Blink ultimate's now off the table, though Brochacho, instead of that aggressive Blink, has gone for the defensive Aegis, and I like this decision totally because Brochacho has been the clear focus for the majority of these team fights.
He could easily sash in, bait out a lot of cooldowns, and use that Aegis amulet. And what you were mentioning before about Rapio, about how he's been making an impact. He has no deaths on this team. He's participated in 14 total kills out of the 17 from his team. And honestly, for good reason, Rival rely on their jungler to make the plays happen.
Gold Fury started down below 50%. Astral Authority is showing face, though, making Rival maybe reconsider, at least for the moment. Transonics finds stun on Jacob HL. Decent crush damage from Kobe as well, but Kobe already on the run. Nope's chasing him down, but Dobson's the one with the credit. Snipes from the sky once more. Jacob uses the purification beads on that Ganesh support and tries to get away from Wolves, who takes a big chunk of damage. Dobson really starting to swing on this Rob.
A lot of damage being dealt onto Astral Authority. They now have a 4v5 disparity for another 23 seconds as they're waiting for Kobe to revive. Taking advantage of that is Rival to start the Gold Fury right about half health. And look on the backhand side, Transonics trying to loop around, but he takes so much damage.
Transonics is dead. That's Rival knowing the type of playstyle that Trans likes to go for. Chaotic Purpose does find Jacob HL, but that's a trade Rival, I'm sure, is content to take. Wolves still here. Brochacho, Chaotic Purpose in tow, trying to prevent this Gold Fury from going Rival's way. A third Gold Fury would be difficult for Astral Authority to overcome.
Kobe has respawned. He needs to get in position to stop this from happening. A stun onto Gnome on one hand, but Brochacho gets stunned in turn. The Thorns being popped as well. Wolves on the backhand side trying to do damage with his ultimate. It's not going to be enough as we're going to see the Aegis coming out of Dobson, and now it's going to be the Ymir chased down.
Chaotic Purpose trying to do his best to find some kills. Dobson literally 1 HP, but Kobe can't quite find him. Crush comes through, but it's onto the tanky solo lane Osiris, and it's only a level 14 Scylla. Dobson is still here somehow, and no one, Kobe couldn't quite close the deal. He was right next to him as Watson is finding Wolves right now. The wall, not enough. Backfire gonna secure it for Rival. Somehow Dobson escapes. I don't know what happened there, but Kobe was right up in his grill, and Dobson survived.
Unfortunate set of circumstances for Rival. They can't get the better end of that one. However, they stopped the Gold Fury attempt from Rival for the moment. It's only Wolves dead at this point after that long engagement for 30 seconds. 4 members from Astral have to be positioned around this left-hand side to make sure there's no more gold being taken by Rival.
That was a big play by Brochacho at Wolves and Chaotic Purpose. Yes, Brochacho ends up sacrificing his life. Wolves does as well in the end. But now it's Rival again going for it. But again, it's just a bait. Big dunk from Rapio. Transonics is shredded. Huge I'm a monster. That time, Chaotic Purpose is going to get the kill onto Dobson, and now onto Rapio. Just needs one more hit as Brochacho takes one to the sky. Double kill for Chaotic Purpose. Crashing down comes Brochacho, but Gnome still alive. One more Iano should do it. Chaotic Purpose, he's going to find the triple kill, and he's still pushing forward.
He's trying to find more, potentially a quadra kill, but the rest of his team is not going to follow up, instead electing to get what is guaranteed. They get the farm in mid, and now they get a tier 1 tower, and more importantly, they stop the Gold Fury attempt.
Chaotic Purpose is just pulling Astral Authority up by the bootstraps right now. 7, 1, and 5. No one on his team is within 3,000 player damage of him. Top 4, only one Astral Authority member there, and it's KP. Portal Demon started up down to about half HP as Brochacho sashes Jacob HL, which forces the purification beads. Now it's Chaotic Purpose's turn to try and create that zone. Crushes down, Shards of Ice is a secure call, and that's gonna get it as Astral Authority finds the Portal Demon.
Wolves not on the mark, connecting onto Watson, playing this Vulcan here, and again, Astral Authority, you can never count out this North American team here. Despite having about a 3,000 goal lead or so for Rival, it just hasn't transitioned into anything beyond that marker, and this is why we're seeing Astral Authority slowly but surely climbing back into the game, because once they get the farm, they're gonna get the levels, and Brochacho now has been setting up Kobe.
Totally, they're 10 kills down. They've lost 2 Gold Furies. They haven't gotten one for themselves. There are multiple members with more than 5 deaths on Astral Authority, and this is an even game.
That's all she wrote here for Astral Authority. They're still trying to make things happen. Grouped up in the mid lane, though. Gonna spun out Brochacho, stunning him out on the left. Now trying to retreat on the right as Transonics plays super aggressive as well. However, Transonics, despite being so hot in game number 1, game number 2 has been a different story. On this Chronos, he's trying to get a lot of mobility with his Fatalis, but he's still playing aggressive.
Chaotic Purpose aggressive in that dual lane, forcing Dobson out of the fight, at least for the moment. Brochacho caught by himself, but it's only 2 tanks up in his face, still forces out the Aegis. Chaotic Purpose gets dunked on, but his Magi's Blessing gets him out of the stun from Rapio's ultimate. KP takes a decent amount of damage from that wall and double tap combination. Transonics here throwing out that time rift on the Gnome, but again, that Osiris so tanky. Dark Biller's coming down. Chaotic Purpose very low. Big ultimate out of Gnome, but a bigger one out of Watson. Rapio finds Covey. Chaotic Purpose likely to fall. The Aegis buys him a moment. Rapio on the chase, but Watson doesn't need that help. He's got it all by himself. Brochacho controlled. No Aegis for him. That Sash not gonna do it. The third one falls for Astral Authority.
Jacob, how is he still alive? Transonics trying to retreat here. This could be the 4th dead member out of Astral Authority. Finding at least one in response, but not gonna be able to stop this Gold Fury attempt. It's only Wolves alive, and he's all the way in base.
But he's teleporting in totally. The problem is Gold Fury's already gone. Wolves now thinking about going in 1v4.
I mean, look how low the members are from Rival. 3 of them are about half health. It's important for Gnome to try to stop the rotation from Wolves here, because it looks like the focus might be potentially on this Fire Giant, but now Rival are slowly shifting their attention into that mid lane. It seems that they're not gonna pull the trigger quite yet.
They pulled it though. Watson's the one tanking it up, but he's down to about 50% HP. Wolves is chasing here, not knowing that Rival is 2-manning the Fire Giant. Great distraction work in that mid lane between Gnome and Rapio allows Rival to snag away the first Fire Giant of game number 2.
In Astral Authority, they see that mid laner here inking that Fire Giant buff around their waist, seeing that they got duped, and that's so unfortunate for Astral Authority because they were holding on for dear life for a majority of this game. But now at the 30-minute mark, not that big of a gold lead here, but what's more important is this Fire Giant buff to be able to get the sustain during these late game sieges and get the extra damage towards the towers and Phoenixes.
Totally, I don't really want to keep harping on the performance from Covey in this game, but this build just doesn't make a lot of sense to me because this whole composition is built around at least Brochacho's Naja pick is the one-shot combination with I'm a Monster. In Bancroft's Talon, Spear of Desolation, Pythag's piece is not a 31-minute one-shot build from Scylla.
No, it's definitely not, but he's definitely going for a more utility style because of his other magic damage dealers are pretty high in that department. Looking at Wolves playing this Ymir, sitting at level 19. Transonics, despite getting off to a slow start at the beginning of the game, he's sitting at level 19 as well, and he's going to bring in quite a big punch here as he has a lot of damage with his build.
These two Magi's Blessings for Rapio and Watson have come up big because that prevents just the out-of-nowhere ultimate from Brochacho that could set up that one-shot capability. That would be a big way for Astral to get back into this game and into these team fights as Transonics tries to take the tier 2 in mid, but just not enough creeps for the moment. Tier 2 falls on the left-hand side to the Fire Giant buffed Rival, and they want to keep on pushing.
And it seems that Transonics is not interested in making this rotation. The ultimate from Jacob is going to zone out on the left while Gnome dives on the right in the backline. I'm a Monster coming through. Rapio diving the back.
Watson just deletes Covey with the ultimate. Wolves does find Dobson on the front, and that's a big kill. Phoenix does fall. Watson finds Wolves. That's a double kill for the mid laner. Brochacho falls to Rapio, and Chaotic Purpose is trying to make it happen. Meanwhile, Transonics did find the mid Phoenix and actually put the Chaos Titan down to about 85%. But now realizes he needs to back to help defend.
I thought he was going to try to end the game there with a normal minion wave, but there's just too many towers standing from Rival. 2 on the dual lane, 1 more in the soul lane, and that's going to make for 1 tanky Titan and dealing a lot of damage. It's just too ambitious here for the Hunter out of Astral Authority. I like the idea to get that Phoenix, but he needed to retreat a lot sooner than he did.
I like what Chaotic Purpose is doing, is taking Rival for a walk, making sure that they're a little bit distracted from the overall objective, which is, of course, the blue team's Titan. Portal Demon the call here for Rival. No one from Astral Authority on your screen. This is going to go down, allow Team Rival to back, heal up, spend the gold they just earned by knocking down the tier 2 and Phoenix in the left-hand side. and then re-siege in that mid lane with about a minute left on their Fire Giant buff.
Not too much time remaining though, because there's going to be fire minions trickling down Rival's lane, making it longer to get to the tower, and that's going to buy Astral Authority enough time to position themselves around the Fire Giant to get these Sentry Wards off the table. Controlling the vision means defending the Fire Giant buff for Astral.
Player damage charts are anemic right now for Astral Authority. We've harped on Kobe quite a bit, but Transonics is below the Ganesh in this game. Lowest player damage in the game. We're 33.5 minutes in on Kronos, and he's got almost an entire item build completed. If you would have told Astral Authority this game's going 34 minutes, I'll bet you they would have thought they were in a great spot. Not right now, as Rival has Fire Giant for another 10 seconds or so. Gnome gets stunned out, and Chaotic Purpose meets up with him in the jungle. Takes about a third of his HP in poke, but should be able to sustain up without much issue.
The rest of Astral Authority, they're looking to extend, but look how much damage that one meatball from Watson did to Transonic. Despite having that Warlock Sash for the extra health, it's just not really enough. If he gets caught in that meatball, that knockup duration is going to be all it's needed to burst down this Kronos. However, the lifesteal is going to keep them topped off.
Fire Giant going to respawn in 40 seconds time. Portal Demon on the respawn already. Rival just want to get these 2 towers in solo. Feel confident enough to just walk right in, and who can blame him, especially with Transonics defending that fire wave in left. Chaotic Purpose trying to push up his own fire wave in the mid lane.
Seeing a nice stun coming out of Rapio, which popped the Mad Guy's Blessing from Chaotic Purpose, making it another minute before that CC immunity will take effect. Transonics needing to defend on the left-hand side. However, Fire Giant's going to respawn in less than 10 seconds. Needs to have that Hunter there to be able to really pack a punch in this next engagement.
Brochacho backing right as Fire Giant respawns, but with the positioning of Rival, no real threat of them bursting it immediately. I like what Wolves is doing here, building up his own minion wave, trying to create basically a super wave to push down right.
That's what you got to do whenever you're behind this much. Rival going to start up the Fire Giant, sitting at about 60% health. Wolves spots it around the corner, calls it for the rest of his team, but it seems that it's Dobson that's going to reset it here as Chaotic Purpose gets poked out a little bit. Rapio trying to do something here. Transonics is very low, forced to go into the Aegis.
He's in a bad spot, has to use both his relics, and now the rewind as well. He's a sitting duck for Rapio's ultimate. Watson's ult is off the mark, though, as there is some missed synergy there between the two. Rapio actually just going to come crashing down, as what looks like a great start to that engagement for Rival. They didn't take advantage.
Forcing a lot of ultimates there out of Rival. Astral Authority, all they have to do is defend here. Defend their left side. Phoenix that's about to respawn, because we're going to see Rival having to retreat to defend their middle Phoenix that just respawned as well.
Transonics is the one to go and farm that up, make sure that the left side Phoenix stays up. It's Wolves in the middle of 4, and he just gets bursted down. Dobson shreds through with that late game ROM build. Covey on the run, 1 snipe off the mark, the 3 gonna miss, but the meatball will not. Order is up. Watson now double digits on the kill column. Great wall out of Rapio, prevents the escape from Brochacho for the moment. Eventually the chase is let go as Chaotic Purpose tries to put some pressure back on the Rapio.
Oh no, the mid Phoenix though out of Rival. I think that's a fire mini wave that's gonna start chunking that one down. However, a wave did spawn in the mid just to deter it ever so slightly. Rival are gonna start up the Fire Giant buff while they still have a 5-on-3 player advantage.
Brochacho's here, Transonics is as well, but Tran's gonna eat a bunch of damage right off the bat. Brochacho trying to push forward, Fire Giant leashed, at least for the moment, even though it's very low. Gnome has been handling Chaotic Purpose nicely on this right-hand side, and now Rival once more on the Fire Giant. Watson's ultimate comes down, Rival get the Fire Giant. Rapio's gonna dunk down on Chaotic Purpose, and Rival in control in game 2.
Great play from Rival, however, it was actually Astral Authority's minion wave that got the mid Phoenix as it responded yet again. So a slight sliver of hope for the North Americans. They lost the buff, but now they don't have to worry about too much pressure, at least from the mid.
They got to worry about a lot of pressure elsewhere, though, Tully. I mean, this is a late game, 37-minute. We're in a do-or-die situation here, ladies and gentlemen. We're Team Rival with the Fire Giant buff. There are 2 towers still standing for Astral Authority, so Rival does have to wash their hands of those, but shouldn't take too long, especially with how Dobson's been playing. This build has been phenomenal from him, shredding through that front line for Astral Authority.
It's not just Dobson, however. Watson's meatballs have been able to connect and just absolutely obliterate anybody it touches here. Transonics got chunked away. Wolves was the earlier victim after the fact. However, Kobe dealing a decent amount of damage now once he's hitting this level 17 marker. 5 completed items here. Needs to finish off this Rod of Tahuti, though.
It hasn't even started, though, Toli. And as you mentioned earlier on, Scylla passive, of course, you gain extra magical power as you complete leveling your abilities. And he's still got 2 waiting. He's going to need 2 levels to finish off leveling Sentinel, and then 1 more in order to hit level 20 and finish off that I'm a Monster.
Funny little interaction there, that ring bounce after hitting the turret, connecting on one of the players, but he backed into base, so that ring is actually going to follow him all the way back to base, hitting everybody in the fountain. But like you were talking about before there off of Kobe, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time here because it's not a safe timing to leave your base to even farm any mid-wave, so he's going to be able to try to get the back Harpies, go for his own red buff whenever that's available, and that's only if Astral Authority have the vision that they need on that side of the jungle.
Transonics on that PvE game once more, split pushing. He's the one who got that mid Phoenix down for Team Rival by way of the split push, and now trying to do the same on the left-hand side potentially.
Oh my.
Not going to take him
Look
off.
at that. 6, 7 hits is all that's needed to take out that tier 2 tower. Rapio, though, going into the sky, looking for a backline target, trying to get Kobe potentially.
Rapio is going to miss that ultimate, but able to get out of danger immediately. Good wall there from Wolves. Watson's ultimate is massive, and Chaotic Purpose forced to retreat right off the bat. Transonics, he backs. He's here to fight. Dobson is back to try and defend that split push. And now Transonics, where did he go? Watson with the kill. Brochacho's controlled. Big freeze out of Wolves, but not quite enough to save him. Watson with the double kill.
And Gnome is going to chase down some more members, allowing Rival the space they needed to get that tier 2 tower despite not having Dobson. We were praising him earlier on, but it was actually Watson that put in the work there. Those meatballs, we keep talking about him time in and time out. Watson getting chunked out, but I'm a Monster, but he's at level 18. It's not maxed out.
A 40-minute I'm a Monster doesn't do enough damage for the Scylla, and Watson's going to be able to survive. Chaotic Purpose still chasing down Rapio. He's going to find him. Now Watson in trouble after Kobe roots him in place. Chaotic Purpose still alive, but Dobson has shown up, trying to find the shots on Kobe, going for the snipes. Instead, turns his attention to Chaotic Purpose. 1 and 3 hit. Number 2 does not. KP locked in the corner. Dobson gets credit, but it was Jacob HL who deserves it.
Nice Dharmic Pillars out of the support from Team Rival. Still not able to get the right side Phoenix, however, and the left side Phoenix was successfully defended by Dobson's rotation. It was a nice little distraction that Transonics did to start things off. However, it's the meatballs from Watson.
Watson has had an unbelievable game here, folks. 35,000 damage. By far the highest in the game. The ultimates have been on point. That Magi's Blessing that we mentioned earlier on has proved to be very fruitful. This Astral Authority getting the Oracles could actually get this Gold Fury and would actually be very helpful finishing off that very important Rod of Tahuti and for Kobe.
Any sort of experience that Kobe can get, he'll take it. He just needs that 1 extra level to not only max out that I'm a Monster, but to get that extra 20 magical power, which will synergize a little bit with the passive of the Rod of Tahuti, and things could start looking up for Astral Authority.
We're full build across the board now. It took 41.5 minutes, but we got there. Every single member in this game has their 6 items completed. Look at how close Kobe is. He's gonna sneeze on these back Harpies. And here we are, level 20 across the board, except for Brochacho.
Kobe is now in his ultimate form. He has a full build. He is maxed out in the level department. It's not very common to see the mage be the last one to hit level 20, as opposed to not the support, rather. So it's better late than never.
Here we are, we got here, and that's all that matters. As you mentioned, Transonics gonna find that Sentry Ward on the Fire Giant. Still need to see some damage from him, though. 42 minutes in, still at the bottom of the player damage charts on that Chronos. Not something you see every day. Mid Phoenix is respawn for Rival, left Phoenix is respawn for Astral Authority, so no worries about fire minions at this stage.
Wolves trying to find some targets to wall off, potentially. Jacob HL doing the same thing for his Dharmic Pillars. Transonics, though, he's not afraid. He's playing aggressive. He barely avoided that meatball.
1 turret shot did that much damage to Transonics. That is a chunk, about 10%. And the rest of the abilities from Watson missed, so if that would have been a full combo rotation, could have potentially been enough to kill him. Transonics sitting in the back, does have the Bancroft's Talon, so can regen that health fairly easily as Dobson's the one to pull the fire. Giant Wolves first one in, freezes the two frontliners, but no remaining follow-up. Brochacho stripping away some protections with that Windfire wheels, but Wolves is separated, and he's getting controlled. But Chaotic Purpose comes around the back with Transonics and deletes Dobson. Watson's next on the list. Wolves channeling that ultimate I'm a monster, gonna take a bite out of Jacob HL, but not enough to kill him quite yet. The two damage dealers from Rival are dead. Now the front line on the run. Tran's gonna find one. Gnome is running for his life. Rapio is still sitting there, not quite sure what to do.
Crush is good.
Coley, I think they did it.
They're finding more kills. They're gonna get their fourth one. It's only Rapio alive. And now they're gonna go down the middle, Phoenix. And I think North America can keep on cheering for Astral Authority as they're gonna get their second victory in this best of 5.
It wasn't easy. It was anything but somehow Astral Authority pull out the victory in Game 2. A hard-fought 45 minutes.
And look at